Algebra half, we are on page 55. All about fractions and decimals, switching them back and forth, and talking about terminating and repeating decimals as well. At the top of page 55, they give you a great example of how fractions and decimals are just two sides of the same coin. They both show the same idea. You know, if I have a pie cut into thirds, and I say I've got 1/3 worth of pie, very messy, I'm sorry, that's the same as 0.3 repeating, which is 3/10, 3 over 10. We could cut this into tenths too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do about 3 of them and see how, even in my imperfect picture, you can start to see how these are showing the same thing, just two different ways, right? This is all the same thing, just shown different ways. Or in the book, how they show that there's 4 pieces of fifths, but that's the same as showing 8/10, because it's just a reduced and fraction version of it. So we wrote down a definition for fraction. Do you remember what it was? Do you have that in your notes? If I asked you for it in your notes, would you be able to find it? It's very important that you would. The definition is that it's a part of a whole. True or false, decimals are also a part of a whole? Absolutely true. Less than 1 or a part of a whole. All right, so if it asked us to write a fraction into a decimal, such as 3/8, how would we accomplish that? It's review. In order to know, you have to remember what operation this tells us to do. What operation? Divide. And then is this the dividend or the divisor? Dividend. Is this quotient? Divisor. Divisor. 8 into 30 can fit it 3 times. Don't forget to rise on up your decimal. So we solve this. Obviously, it's going to be a part of a whole because the divisor is bigger than the dividend. Drop down a 0. How many times 8 into 60? Well, 8 times 8 is 64. Too many, so try one less. What's 8 times 7? 3, 2, 1. Okay, and if we keep going, it might not end. Or maybe it will, right? Even, no remainder. And that's when you'll eventually memorize. 3/8 is just 0.375 and it stops. Everything else after that's a 0. The number terminates, but if we did a number like 1 over 30, and we figured that out, 30 on the outside, 1 on the inside, we would get a number that repeats. It would be 0.03333. Okay, we could show it simpler, something like that. A bar over it means that whatever number or pattern underneath the bar repeats. The repeating digits of a decimal number are called the repeatend. The bar is called a vinculum, which we don't really use very often. I just call it the bar. If the denominator of the fraction is a power of 10, we don't really need to divide. We can just say the number, then write the decimal number. So 8 over the number 10, right? 8/10, which is written 8/10. If you just say this out loud, the decimal is just a given. Good so far? To write a fraction of a whole number, we divide the denominator into the numerator to review. But the answer will always be either a terminating decimal number or repeater. Now, what does that mean to terminate? Terminate means to end. So we can get a number like this one, where it ends, nothing repeats, it's all done, 375 is it. Or we can get it where it repeats, and that's called a repeater. And it's either going to be one number in this book or a definite pattern of numbers. You know, you could have a 0.375, 375, 375, you know, and then you would just say, or 0.375 repeating. All right, so it's either a pattern or a single number repeating for these repeater numbers. To round a repeater, it's helpful to write out the repeating pattern several times so that you can for sure do it. So if it tells us to round 42.617, 617 thousandths is repeating, round it to the nearest millionth. You have to get out your place value card, find the millionth place somewhere down here, and you're going to need to write out your pattern a few times to make sure you have enough spots. And actually, the millionth place is going to be that second 7. So this is actually the millionth place. Circle it, and this tells me up or down. Final answer will be 42.617618. The rest is cleared out. Good so far. Finally, decimals to fractions. We'll only do this for terminating decimals. Repeaters would be some other day. Can we do something like write 0.041 or 41 thousandths as a fraction? Well, that's part of the reason we learn how to read these instead of just saying decimal 041. If you can say 41 thousandths, boy, your job is pretty well done now for this lesson. 41 over 1,000. Or how about, let's pop one up here, 0.35. How do I read that? 35, what place? Hundredths. Don't forget the TH. So our denominator is that 100 place, and then top is still 35. Notice we didn't need to write the 0 here when we did this one, right? It's only 41. That 0 doesn't dictate the name of it. Why don't you try practice problems, one from each, so you have an A through B, a C through D problem, and then an E through F. 3 total, please. Let me know if you have any questions.